Active crowd today.
Don, how are you?
Send that to Mr. Marshfield, if you would.
He's not gonna send him, he's not on that committee.
Oh, he's not on that tonight.
Joanne said she should have taken him off.
Yeah.
That is a lot of.
You want to do it with the privilege.
I know.
Privilege of the floor. We'll do that right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good, how are you doing? You too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been
Been a adventure.
as is life, right?
Okay.
Good luck with everything. Just to go with the letter, it's the rulemaking from the state. Sorry for all that kind of stuff here, but we got everything together just at the last minute, you know what I mean? Mind if I skip you? I think we're right.
I'll steal pennies.
That's additional. That's-
Liz, you feel left out? Okay, you can have mine later.
You don't want it?
Because you feel left out. I would not like that feeling.
I think he's gonna talk about the one resolution that came out. Oh, okay.
He knows about
He wrote
that.
that.
Some of these guys, real name. Coming along.
You're gonna do privilege of the floor for Kevin.
Kevin, I'll do, yeah. I'll give it to George and Kevin.
Only because when they
All
get
the supervisors.
the way it's set up, depending on when you got into them. Start to woman. Certain year. I didn't wear mine. Before that, they used. They had it. Before that, they completely used the balance.
Ready to go? I'd like to call this meeting to order. Penny, if you would, roll call, please.
Gabriel. Haffel.
Here.
Kelso.
Here.
Bukai. Wally. Smith. Marshfield.
Yeah.
Vernal.
Here.
Driscoll.
Here.
Haynes.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Ellis.
Here.
Faulkner.
Here.
Hinckley. Wilson.
Here.
Kosher.
Here.
Layton.
Here.
Seta.
Here.
Malay.
If you would, please join us in the invocation by Chaplain Don Ladner and the pledge Supervisor Wally.
Every time I come here, God always gives me something in my devotions in the morning to pray over you folks. So today it was the purpose of life. The purpose of life, God for you to be honorable and compassionate and to have lived well in this time that He has given to you. So that's my prayer for you today. I pray that you would have wisdom to decide how to solve problems, which I'm sure you all have many in your communities, excellence to fulfill your responsibilities, and to be strong and courageous as you do your assigned work, because God is always going to be with you. And He's always going to bless your efforts in your giving, your servanthood to your communities, which you give so freely. And that is a delight to the Lord. So I pray His blessing over you to keep you all the days of your life, and no harm will come near you, and just to prosper you and your families and keep you firmly in the palm of His hand all the days of your life. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes. Any changes for communication?
All communications received have been referred to their respective committees for review.
Thank you, Penny. This afternoon, I would yield privilege of the floor to George Haynes.
I'd like to introduce Kevin Young to talk to us here about our not pre-filed resolution objecting to New York State DEC proposed solid waste regulatory revisions to leachate management.
Thought I was gonna get a few minutes.
Sorry.
So the topic is, okay, on July 1st, DEC proposed some regulations that the comment period ends September 9th. And if these regulations are finalized as is, Delaware County will have to close its landfill in 2 years from the effective date. That's why we're here. And there's no question that we would have to do that. And Delaware County Delaware Department of Public Works have submitted comments to DEC.
Excuse me, could you use the microphone? Sorry.
Where's the microphone?
I don't know that we have one.
I don't think we have a,
It reverberates.
We don't need one. He's fine.
Am I not loud enough?
No,
What?
no.
No, I'm not. Louder. Okay. So what I was saying is that, and let me explain what's going on. It's not anything nefarious. It's just bad policy. So I'm going to start with you understanding that Delaware County, among all the counties in New York State, it is the leader in solid waste. In 1974, your county issued a solid waste management plan where you decided that you needed a centralized facility that was affordable in order to protect public health. And you created this facility that has evolved over 50 years. And and when you created that facility, every 10 years you had to do like a solid waste management plan. And that solid waste management plan was like a comprehensive environmental impact statement where you looked at how we could best manage solid waste and make it sustainable and affordable. If you didn't, the concept was, and the concern was, burn barrels, backyard dumping, and people using other people's dumpsters. And, because your county is so rural, not so wealthy, that otherwise it wouldn't be affordable. And so then you built this landfill in Walton. In the late 1980s, DEC came up with a policy that said landfills that are over primary aquifers can never be expanded. And that was when, actually, it was the first time I got involved. It's like 1990. And we were able to work out a deal where this landfill could continue to exist and expand, mostly vertically, not horizontally. And then the county decided that it's not possible to site another landfill. Right? And I don't think there's been a landfill site in New York State for the past 30 years. But it's not possible to site another landfill in New York City watershed. The county decided that it wanted to be self-sufficient for solid waste. And they came up with the compost facility, where the county composts the organic content of MSW. When the county did that, I think there was that did it. The technology came out of Canada. So we, in order to reduce what was going into the landfill, we spent money, a lot of money, doing a compost facility. And let's be really clear, 90% of the other counties just washed their hands of it and did transfer stations. Everybody just did out of county disposal for the most part. And I will just a little background, which is in the 1970s, every town had a landfill. Every town had a little landfill, so there'd be a place. The technology back then was the landfills were not lined. The concept being dilution was a solution to pollution. In other words, as chills would come down, water would flow through, and that would be okay. After Love Canal, if you remember Love Canal, but in the 80s, regulations came into effect, in particular in 1988, where any landfill that was going to allow to continue to operate had to have a liner. So all those, there's over 1,000 town municipal landfills, all of them had to close. And then people had to come up with new solutions. Delaware County solution is a Delaware County disposal solid waste landfill. Most people just chose to do a transfer station and do out of county disposal. So that's where it is. So what right now, this new reg applies to, there's 25 active landfills in New York State. 19 of those 25 are owned by municipalities. Counties like Madison County. Tyson, who are some of the facilities?
Yeah, Madison County, there's.
Court. Cortland has one.
Yeah, Cortland's still running one by themselves. There's a lot of them that are owned by the county, but then operated privately as well.
So, and the other 6 are big private companies. And the 6 big private companies that have big landfills and access to unlimited capital account for 82% of the capacity. So, these 19, which is 78% of the active landfills are municipal, they account for only 18% of the capacity. So this regulation, I just wanted to make, and what I'm talking about is not a Biden versus Trump issue. It is not that. What Biden did, what Trump did is the same on this issue. And so what it is that am I giving you more than you want?
No,
Okay. What happened is that in the late 1980s, when we started to worry about groundwater being our drinking water supply, we had to come up with drinking water standards. The process for coming up with drinking water standards under the Safe Drinking Water Act is unbelievably difficult. And there's maybe 6 or 10 that have been done. It requires so much study and so much balancing because they're afraid that if they, like arsenic is just prevalent everywhere. If you have too low a level of arsenic then you're going to deprive people of potable water supply because they have to treat for arsenic when the risk from arsenic is not justifying that treatment. So they're trying to balance what's in the best overall interest in how they come up with it, and it's a lot of work. So in the absence of that, New York adopted a general drinking water standard or groundwater standard of 5 parts per billion for what we call principal organic compounds. And 5 parts per billion was a detection limit. We couldn't detect below that. So if we detected it, it was above the drinking water standard. And that's how we existed until today. Well, what has come up in the past 10 or 15 years is that now we can go down to the parts per trillion. And I don't know if anybody wants to give me an example of what a part per trillion is, but it's 10 to the minus 12, right? It's super tiny. And what they determined is that, I'm going to call it PFAS. Have you heard of this, or emergent contaminants? These PFAS chemicals that weren't even on the hazardous substance list. They weren't on the toxic substance control list. They weren't on the hazardous waste list. They were fluorinated products that were in Gore-Tex. They spray on your carpet. They're that liner, that film that's on the back of the pizza box that prevents oil and, that protects them from oil and water. It is this wonderful chemical that was probably done in the 30s or 40s. And it's in makeup, it's in everything. They determined, the EPA kind of determined that which is a lot lower than 5 parts per billion. 5 parts per billion is 5,000 parts per trillion. And it wasn't that this chemical was so toxic. Come on, my God, it's in everything, right? It was that our bodies didn't release it. So when they come up with drinking water standards, they assume someone is sitting there at their home for 70 years drinking a liter of water. And they look at age 70, what the cancer risk from that. And somehow they've determined that at these low levels, this chemical, which wasn't previously thought of as being so hazardous, is hazardous. So now we have to look at things in the parts per trillion. Well, things in the parts per trillion, one, it's expensive to analyze down to the parts per trillion. Originally, there's only a few labs now. But in any event, we come up with what has come up is this chemical is totally ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And you'll see that the average concentration in New York State is 3,000 parts per trillion in normal rural soils. The average concentration in the leachate, which they're regulating, is 800 of PFOA and 200 of PFOS. Orders of magnitude lower than the background concentration of that. The background concentration, the average concentration of PFOS in our blood is 4,000 parts per trillion. The average concentration of PFOA in our blood, I think I have it here. Is 1,420 parts per trillion. So, and it's also important to note that between 1999 and 2018, the level of PFAS in our blood decreased by 85%, and the level of PFOA in our blood decreased by 70%. In other words, we started eliminating them from consumer products So when we talk about this as an emergent contaminant, it's actually a contaminant that is going down because it's no longer in commerce. So, but there is an hysteria about these contaminants. An hysteria kind of driven somewhat by plaintiffs' lawyers, I suppose, and somewhat by some environmental stakeholders. And that hysteria has somehow it made it politically popular for DEC to come up with a rule banning leachate from going to our wastewater treatment plants. So most of these active landfills, you understand leachate? Everybody understanding leachate? You know, now that the landfills are lined, when water comes in, that water is collected and it has to be disposed of. I think we generate about 6 million gallons a year at Walton, and we take it to the Delhi plant and to the Walton plant by truck at no small cost. That leachate has to now be treated for over 200 chemicals. And each of those 200 chemicals will have to be removed by 99.9% removal. So if the concentration was 1,000 parts per million, we have to remove it down to 1 part per million. And it includes both organic and inorganic. And we, Delaware County and the other municipal landfills, have 1 year to make a decision whether we're going to proceed with installing that treatment technology that will achieve that. And if we do make a decision that we're going to stay open, then we have 3 more years to put in the technology. But once we make that decision, that technology, landfills don't dry up when we close them. The landfills continue to generate leachate in perpetuity. First, they're like sponges, so there's like water in the landfill itself. And then just you have so many acres covered with an impermeable cap, just little pinholes generate significant quantities of leachate. So once you have a landfill and you close it, you're stuck funding it forever, which means we're stuck sending it to Walton or Delhi forever. And so we believe, or I believe, that it's Delaware County have no choice but in 1 year to say, we're going to cease accepting solid waste. That the risk, the catastrophic cost of saying we're going to stay open and accept this treatment standard when there isn't really even a technology out there. They didn't propose a technology. They said, we're going to create a treatment standard that we think is achievable. It's up to you to figure out what that technology is going to be. So we're asking you to pass a resolution in support of the comments that were submitted by Delaware County Department of Public Works. And we're also going to then communicate with other municipal parties to get them to support this rule, our position. And Delaware County is part of what's a solid waste association that we're part of, and we are.
New York State Association of Solid Waste.
Okay, so
And that's all municipal.
Tyson is working with them on comments, but that's where we are, and that's kind of it's I'm going to say that the regulation they propose, in my opinion, is so badly drawn. I mean, that I almost think that the governor got something out because she said she had to get something out. Because it just makes really no sense. But it's possible in this day and age that it'll be rammed through. And so, that's where we are.
I really need to say that we need to get these other 17 counties involved in this and get everybody in line. And, you know, all our water districts have been under this rule for many years, but I think we're limited to 1 part per million. Undetectable, but you know, when you're in the waste business, that changes. And you know, I think this is a horrendous proposed rule, and don't we use leachate in our composting in the cylinder?
No, we don't use
Oh,
it in
don't.
the cylinder. If maybe I can summarize a little bit, my name's Tyson with Delaware County Solid Waste. But the kind of the crux of the issue that I see is that we create this leachate from our landfill. We've had this landfill for a long time. We provide disposal that's subsidized by 1% of the sales tax, where if you have a household bag of garbage, you can dispose of that at no cost. And so we're a government run and we're owned and operated facility for the benefit of the environment. That's what we try to do, is keep the environment clean. That's our goal. That's our mission. And so we don't oppose doing that any kind of way. But so when you take that bag of garbage, yes, we use a composter to extract the organics, the residuals from that go into the landfill. And then through time, water will come out of those residuals, and that's what the leachate is. That leachate right now, that 6 million gallons, it goes to Delaware and Walton and the Village of Sydney, the wastewater treatment plants, and we pay for that. And there is concentrations that are not very high comparatively to the soils or to the concentrations in the average person's blood in the leachate of PFOA and PFOS.
Significantly lower.
Significantly lower. The math's in there, but or up there. The point being though is that we pay the villages for their expertise. They have operators with decades of experience and certifications, and we pay them for their infrastructure, which is built to treat water. Our systems are built to treat solids, and these units, and we just don't have the in-house wherewithal to treat these liquids, at least right now. The build out would be, as you know, referenced by the state, something like $50 million in infrastructure. And that doesn't account for the operational costs or the technical expertise to run some of the systems that we would have to treat these chemicals. And so also to pull it back together, we developed a solid waste management plan. It's a 10-year plan. We plan in 10-year chunks, right? And that was authorized by the board by resolution. It was also supported by an environmental impact statement and a seeker process in which we incorporated New York State and New York City as interested parties, because we believe that we are tackling this waste system together and as interested parties to one another. The regulations that the state has come out with did not involve the county in any way. And I think adversely impacted the county. And I hope that we don't run into seeker issues further down the line with this.
What year does that plan go to?
This plan?
The last 10-year plan?
Yep, 2027.
Oh,
This year,
I know we're up against it, but
we're on the
you can
wall.
get 5 1-year extensions. That's legal by law.
and what happens if you say, okay, we're gonna close it down? Don't you still have a responsibility for what we
Yes.
have there?
That's true. Yes, that's exactly true. And that's why facilities may have to shut down.
So what is the landfill? What do you think the landfill life is? Or,
Right now, we're sitting on probably 50 or 60 years of capacity. That's
okay,
very
so
long.
you got to shut it down in year 2.
Yeah,
You're still going to have to do the leachate for the next 50 or 60 years.
Yeah.
If you have any debt service on what you built, you're going to have to pay the debt service off. And then you're going to have to figure out, construct a transfer station and pay to construct a transfer station and send it out of state, because there isn't going to be that much landfill capacity left in the state. So you're stuck with the expenses. And what money are you going to use for recycling and for the household hazardous waste collection? You know, right now, the landfill, or well,
I'm not in favor necessarily of shutting down the landfill, but based
Yeah.
on these regulations, we would have to, they're just so poorly written that we can't treat to the standards that they're asking us to. But if we did shut down, we would still need to treat the leachate in the manner that we do today, and that would be to send it to the wastewater treatment plants. And they treat for a number of things, but one of the things that they will have to treat for is PFAS. The village wastewater treatment plants will have to tackle this issue with or without leachate. We looked at, I don't have any test results yet from the effluent for the wastewater treatment plants, but we looked at biosolids, and there's no correlation between the biosolids levels of PFAS and where we send our leachate. So the villages will have to upgrade their wastewater treatment plants eventually, with or without the leachate going there. And
we'll have to address it.
yeah, there's a lot of issues.
So this $30 million composting facility, once you shut down, that just sits there.
No, hopefully we can keep running compost.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, but
So regulations came out at the beginning of the year. for
what do you
compost.
put in it?
What's that?
What do you put in it? The organic waste?
No,
Before,
you could still put the MSW through there, extract the organics, and then what's the residuals left over from that would need to be exported if we shut down.
So the current transfer stations would then continue to do the same, bring it down to Walton. You would extract for that, and then you would take all the solid waste and ship it out of state?
That would be one solution. We'd have to navigate it if it came to that, but I wouldn't consider that unless we the very last resort. You know, you're saying for New York State, the public facilities only have a small capacity, mostly because of New York City, right? But for Delaware County, we have a significant amount of capacity for ourselves. And that's a
Refresh my
huge
memory.
benefit.
What happened to cell one? Something just happened.
Just remember.
Yeah, thanks, Wayne. So part of our plan that we put forth for 10 years was to move the first landfill that we put in the 70s. There was no regulations, there was no liner underneath it.
Right.
So the water that was walking through, all the leachate that was produced through that was just going into the groundwater. And that's the same as every town and village landfill that still exists. Those are the closed landfills that are exempt from the regulations. But that cell, in order to benefit the environment, but also increase our capacity, so it made sense in a couple different ways. We dug that up and we put it on a dual composite liner, so that we moved 250,000 cubic yards of waste, old 1970s waste, into a modern containment system and capped it to capture that leachate, which is a direct benefit to water quality. That's how you solve the pollution problem.
I think that's real important, and we've done due diligence over the years. The only composting facility in the state, we line a cell that was unlined. I mean, we really tried to make the environment better. Kevin?
no, that's it. I just want to say these contaminants impact us in a few ways, because the compost itself, because we're composting is, consumer waste. That compost has the potential to contain these parameters. And the DEC has come up with a guidance document. I think it's 20,000 parts per billion, 20,000 parts per trillion or something. And if it's above, if the concentration is above that, then you may have to get special approval to use the compost. So we're going to have to monitor the compost quality, in a certain way. And then the biosolids that the wastewater treatment generates, a lot of that time, things like that are land applied. Well, that same standard will apply to them. If they have too much PFAS in them, they won't be able to be land applied. So there's a balancing that is going now. I just want to say both EPA and DEC, with the exception of this rule, have been working diligently and intelligently on addressing these issues, trying to and what is necessary to have things go. And there is a system in place to make sure that the wastewater treatment plants don't discharge this. And there's a system in place that makes sure we don't put compost containing high concentrations, out into the environment. So the environment is protected, and public health is protected by these other systems.
Right, there's regulations that exist for all the other waste. So at the beginning of the year, they came up with these rules for compost, and so we tested a couple times so far, and our compost is fine as far as the PFAS goes. We come in under that threshold. And most of it, and hard to get information from the state code, information, and all of our biosolids have been pretty good, with the exception of just a couple small. So we're in compliance with the state regulation as far as compost goes.
So we send in this resolution, they consider it, best case, they change their regulations. When are they looking to put this regulation in? Do we have any?
So the comment period ends September 9th. Generally, they have 60 days from September 9th, from the end of the comment period, to rule on the regulations. If they extend the comment period, I imagine it'll be extended to after the election. So I imagine they'll extend the comment period. It'll be sometime later in the year.
Evan, does DEP at all weigh in on this? I know they ship out their waste, but we're operating the wastewater facilities in the watershed.
Yeah,
They-
DEP is very supportive of our solid waste system.
Good.
Very, very supportive.
Are they
And,
gonna submit
they,
comments?
remember, their sludge goes to our landfill. And they required additional treatment at the wastewater treatment plants, which generates additional sludge, which goes to our wastewater landfill. So they're involved in that. The other thing, the problem with this contaminant is that we're talking about parts per trillion. To remove parts per trillion, you got to have water that is super clean, right? And that's the problem with leachate. It's, it's all this other stuff. So you have to treat it and treat it and treat it and treat it till it gets past drinking water quality in order to have carbon filtration remove parts per trillion. One thing we have going for us is that the city required microfiltration on our treatment plants. That is, our plants have this extra level of treatment that corresponds with the level of treatment for drinking water supplies. So if we did have to put carbon filter on our wastewater treatment plants, we have that opportunity. And this contaminant is a drinking water contaminant. That's what the issue is. It's not an aquatic contaminant, it's just drinking water. And if we had to do treatment on our wastewater treatment plants, I'm sure the city would help us. Absolutely.
So if we could work with wastewater treatment plants, I know at least the village of Delaware would welcome assistance treating PFAS that they're already under. Right now, the way the regs are written is that we wouldn't be allowed to do that. We'd have to create our own treatment plant. Seems like a duplication of tax dollars.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tyson. Such good news. Standing committee reports. Standing committee report? None? Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. Resolution 117.
Two thousand twenty-six budget amendment, acceptance of funds from the Bassett Healthcare Network, O'Connor Hospital Board for SNAP Ed Food Box Distribution Project, Office for the Aging.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Haffel.
Yeah.
Kelso.
Yeah.
Bukai.
Yes.
Wally.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Marshfield.
Yeah.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Faulkner.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Kosher.
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Sutta.
Yes.
Resolution 118.
I bring this resolution to the floor and ask for its approval.
Second.
Acceptance of snowmobile grant administration funds, Planning Department.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Haffel.
Yeah.
Kelso.
Yeah.
Bukai.
Yes.
Wally.
Yes.
Smith. Marshfield.
Yeah.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Faulkner.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Kosher.
Yeah.
Layton.
Yes.
Sutta.
Yes.
Resolution 119.
I will move resolution 119.
Second.
2026 budget amendment, transfer of funds, medical examiner.
Any comments, questions? Please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Haffel.
Yes.
Kelso. Bukai.
Yes.
Wally.
Yes.
Smith. Marshfield.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yep.
Scott. Ellis.
Yes.
Faulkner.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Kosher.
Yeah.
Layton.
Yeah.
Sutta.
Yes.
Resolution 120.
Pull that off, move for adoption.
Authorization of disposition of personal property no longer necessary for public use, Department of Social Services.
Any discussion?
This is a point of interest. The car that was in the match that with a bear.
This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passed. Resolution 121.
I bring this up, move for its adoption.
Second.
Authorization for disposition of personal property no longer necessary for public use, Department of Public Works.
Comments or discussion? This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. Resolution 122.
I bring this resolution to the floor and ask for its adoption.
Who's on?
Certified agricultural districts during the designated 30-day period for annual district review.
This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution 123.
I'll move this.
Thanks, Joe.
123 as for its adoption. I'll second.
Thank you, Glenn.
Proclamation and recognition of Sheriff's Week, September 20th through the 26th, 2026.
This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 109.
I will move resolution 109 to the board and ask for its adoption.
Thank you, Wayne.
2026 budget amendment, acceptance of enhanced voluntary agreements, assisted outpatient treatment state funding, Department of Mental Health. This resolution was tabled at the last meeting.
Any discussion, comments? Please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Haffel. Kelso. Bukai.
Yes.
Wally.
Yes.
Smith. Marshfield.
Yep.
Vernal,
Yes.
Driscoll,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Faulkner,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Kosher.
Yes.
Layton.
Yeah.
Seta.
Okay, we'll move on to not pre-filed. I'll waive Rule 10 without any objection. Resolution 124.
Bring this up, move for its adoption.
Resolution objecting to New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's proposed solid waste management regulatory revisions regarding the HA Management Department of Public Works.
Okay, so that was the presentation we had earlier. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 125.
Bring this up, move for its adoption.
Second.
Payment of audit.
Any discussion, comments? Please call the vote.
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Haffel. Kelso. Bukai.
Yes.
Wally.
Yes.
Smith. Marshfield. Vernal.
Yes.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Faulkner.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Kosher.
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Seta.
Yes.
Any further business? Any committees that have to meet? Adjourned. Well, good afternoon.
Well done.